Well, Freeform continues to expand their content with their most different and daring show yet. Hey guys, coming over the series premiere of the new Freeform show Beyond, and I was definitely interested in this show. I really didn't know a ton about it going into it, but I've really been impressed by Freeform's new show so far. At first, I didn't like Shadowhunters, but I've been binging it, and I've really been enjoying it. I loved Dead of Summer, as you guys know. I think that was a very well done show. This show, as well, I was very interested in for the most part. I thought that this looked really different. It looked like something that Freeform hadn't really tackled before. And sure, they've tackled horror shows, but this looked like something very different. This wasn't really a horror show, and it's not. I'm going to say it right off the bat. It's not a horror show, and it's a very different kind of show. It's more of a supernatural thriller, if anything, even maybe kind of a superhero show because of the powers that he has. And I gotta say, I loved this premiere. I think this was a really, really well done premiere that perfectly got us into the characters. It introduced us to the situation, introduced to how the show is going to be, which is quite different than how other Freeform shows are. In fact, this probably felt like the most non-Freeform show that we've had, honestly. This really did not feel like a Freeform show, and I really did appreciate that, I have to say. I like that Freeform's trying to expand their content to different kinds of people, because there are different shows that, they know that people will enjoy, and Beyond, I think, is one of those shows that really is going to expand a lot of their content. But let's just get right into it, starting off with the beginning of the episode. So we actually start off in the past on the day of a meteor shower. Now, I'm going to say it was the 90s is when this is. It's the 90s, and Holden's a young teen about to enter high school. He goes to a water tower, and the way they introduce to his family and things like I thought was really well done. We see he has a young brother who his family really cares about, and he's kind of a rebellious teenager. He's a typical teenager, though. He goes to a water tower to watch the celestial event with his best friend, Kevin, and they're typical nerdy kids who love outer space, sneaking beers, riding motorbikes. They're talking about this girl that Kevin really likes, and again, it perfectly got us introduced to what they're really doing and, how they really work and things like that. I thought they just did a really good job at introducing us to these two characters, and their stargazing is very quickly interrupted by Kevin's brother, who's angry over the stolen beers. A fight ensues, and Holden flees on his bike. He crashes it into the woods, and all the scenes of him being on his bike were really, really thrilling, honestly. Like, you knew something was going to happen the second this started, and you don't really know what it is, and even, especially if you didn't watch the promos, you don't really know what's going to happen here, but that's where things start to get weird, and we don't really know why, but his electronics go on the fritz, this bright light comes out of the sky, things begin to float, and we don't know if it's an abduction, but something weird and very strange definitely just happened. We just don't really know what it is, and they spent about 10 minutes with this, and I thought it was really well done, honestly. I like that they took their time with this, because Freeform rarely takes their time with their shows. They rush a lot of things, and this was a complete opposite. They really did take their time with this premiere in a way I haven't seen them done before, and that's something I really did love about this episode overall. It's just how much time they really took to develop these characters and develop the situation and show us what was going on, and the way they contrast us to what's happening, later, it makes it that much more shocking when this event eventually happened. Cut to 12 years later, where I'm assuming the rest of the show is probably going to take place unless we have like a flashback episode or something like that, and we meet his parents, Diane and Tom, who we already knew, but they are anxiously awaiting for him to wake up. He's now in his 20s, and he's been in a coma ever since that night, we find out, and they go in to see him, and he wakes up, and he completely freaks out the nurse and confusing the doctor because it's truly a medical miracle. He's doing a lot of things he shouldn't be able to do. He's talking, he's walking, and it's just not stuff that he should be able to do right now. And the doctor wants to run more tests because of this, neither of which he should be doing after spending 12 years in a coma. Obviously, it would take a while to get your mobility back and be able to function normally. Holden is very advanced with the way that he's functioning. It's not really advanced in the way of, oh, it's just this medical miracle. That definitely something happened to him when he went to that coma. Something has definitely been going on since. You just don't really know what that's all about, and she is overruled by his parents because, they want their son back. Their son's completely functional. There's nothing medically wrong with him, so why would they need to run another test? They just don't understand that, and they take him regardless, and That's understandable, honestly. I completely understood why they want him back. And in short order, Holden's reunited with his family, happy to have him home. Diane and Tom, plus his brother Luke, who has gone from 5 years old to 17. And there's some really great stuff with Holden getting caught up here, with them introducing him to his brothers, showing him how this stuff works. And the whole world seems very interested in his story. We find out that Diane Sawyer is interested. Pretty much every news, even Oprah wants to interview him. And he's actually interested. He doesn't just want to take Oprah off the phone. He actually kind of wants to talk about it. But the weirdest part might be how well Holden's adjusting to it. It probably helps he was able to skip those those awkward teenage years, and at least Wikipedia now exists to help him adjust. Because there are a lot of things that he doesn't know about. Like there's this great scene where his father's talking about an apple, and he doesn't know that there's actually an Apple computer. He's thinking of the food apples, and that was kind of cool the way they did that with him not knowing how this stuff really works. Just imagine if you woke up and everything had changed, because everything has changed in 12 years. A lot can change then, and this episode really shows that very well. We definitely do see. So clues what happened to Holden begin to emerge in his dreams. He's surrounded by fire. There's this creepy old man. This girl promises to see him soon. But the most confusing part is that when Holden wakes up, he's not in his bed, but he somehow traveled to the same exact spot in the woods where he first fell into the coma. So he really has no idea what's going on at this point, how this is happening, how any of this can be possible. He's just really confused at this point, and I'd be too. It really doesn't make much sense how he's back there, but somehow he is, and I think it's very interesting the way that was done. But his second dream that gives him more clarity is the old man tells him to do it now and not to be afraid, while the girl warns him that they're coming for him. And once again, his electronics freak out. He wakes up in the woods and again has no recollection of what's going on, how any of this happened, and all of that mystery is very well shown throughout this entire episode. There's a lot of mystery, there's a lot of empty spaces, and I like that, again, they take their time to present it to you, but don't tell you what's going on. Freeform does a lot of show, not, tell, not show, and this episode did a lot of show, not tell in the way their shows have it, and that very much impressed me. As the mystery deepens, Holden's doctor discovers that her office was actually broken into. We don't know how this happened, but someone broke into her office, and Holden goes shopping with Luke. We see he's going with Luke, and I like this dynamic between these two, because it's really different. Luke is mentoring Holden, while Holden should be mentoring Luke. But again, Holden was asleep for 12 years, so Luke is, known a lot more about the world, and it's one of those great moments where we see that their roles are kind of reversed. Luke has teach his big brother now how to do simple things, like drive a car, which that scene was pretty fun, with him learning how to drive a car and not knowing, and he picked up on it pretty quickly, honestly. Like, it really did not take him long to do that, and again, I think it's because of this advanced powers that he seems to have, or even talk to girls, and it's a really well done scene where they're picking out clothes, and they're just going over all this modern stuff, and I really enjoyed that dynamic overall. But Holden then talks to this mysterious girl named Willa, who he finds attractive, and who he makes kind of a sexual comment to. It was a pretty funny scene, too, because she's holding a bra, and he's like, that would look good on you, and she gives him this weirded out look, because obviously she's weirded out, but things continue to get weird. She writes something on his arm, but it's not her number. He thinks that, oh my god, I'm getting her number, I'm getting lucky, it actually worked what I said, but it's not her number. It's a warning that says, you're in danger, trust no one. She wrote before saying, see you soon, and leaving. So, what the hell does that mean? That's the real question. What the hell does that mean? Can he not trust his parents? Should he not trust his brother? That could mean a bevy of things, really. So, she really is pretty vague with the answers there. But again, I like this show does keep us guessing and doesn't really know. And she leaves. So, one of those people that Holden shouldn't trust is Kevin, we quickly see, his childhood best friend, who's now a school counselor with a wife and a baby on the way. And again, they did a good job at introducing us to Kevin. There was a great scene that I loved where he sees Holden on the news and realizes that, oh my god, Holden's actually woke up. And Kevin offers to help Holden deal with coming back, but he's a little too interested in what happened. And Holden's right to be concerned, because later that night, Kevin gets a phone call from a scary voiced man who's apparently forcing Kevin to help him find out if Holden is the person they're looking for, whoever they are. Again, we don't know anything about what's going on. We don't know who exactly they're talking about, why they'd be looking for Holden. So Kevin is rightfully weirded out. He doesn't know what's going on here. He doesn't know why, out of all people, they call him. Like, what the hell do they want from him? And I like the way that Kevin tried to bond with Holden in this situation. The way he's trying to get Holden back on the right path. The way he's trying to help out Holden. You can really see he truly does care about him. And again, the way they set up this friendship I definitely really enjoyed, and again, they took their time with it, and that's why it turned out as well as it did. So the doctor wants a new MRI of Holden's brain, so he returns to the hospital. However, during the test, Holden has this surreal visions, and the power goes off, and everything starts to explode around him. So I don't know why this cuts the power, but I think that's very interesting, and perhaps that is what the old man wanted him to do now, some, telekinesis stuff, basically. And again, we don't really know why he's there, but that scene was, again, very interesting, very thrilling, kind of came out of nowhere, but really cool overall. So at night, we see a man in a yellow jacket who works with a mysterious phone voice. He gets a call that Kevin can't be trusted, and he's to do whatever he needs to do to be certain that Holden is who they're looking for. So why can't they trust Kevin? We don't really know. Kevin obviously wants nothing to do with this, but we don't really know what's going on there. We don't know who these people are, and again, it intrigues us. It intrigues us, it keeps me hooked in, and that's how you really suck me into a show, is when you don't tell me what's going on. Think of how much more rewarding it is when you don't tell us, and then once we're eventually going to get that reveal, it's going to be really, really well done, because we don't know right now. So Holden meets Kevin at a bar where Kevin tries to warn him that they are after him, so we still don't know who they are, and I like that they are being very vague about it. And outside the bar in the rain, the boys get attacked. Yellow Jacket Man holds Holden down, claiming that he knows what Holden can do and wants a demonstration, and we don't know what that's about. But Yellow Jacket Man threatens to shoot Kevin because, again, they can't trust him, and he tells Holden to stop the bullet. Luckily for Kevin, Holden's finally able to tap into his new powers and sends all of the men flying backwards using his mind, and the result is one single awesome shot. Holden's kneeling in the rain with his fist on the ground. It was truly awesome the way this was done. I really do like the action on the show so far. Two men are sent soaring through the air behind him, and that definitely was really cool the way they did that. So as the men recover and start shooting at Holden, Willa drives up, tells him to get into his car. He does, but only because it's preferable to dying, because obviously he doesn't want to die. So Willa reveals that she does know Holden, which she already told him. She said she knew who he was, but he has no clue what's happening and just wants to go back home. And Willa does give him quite a lot of information here, but again, it's quite hazy. We don't really know what this is all about. She claims that Holden's body has been dormant for 12 years, and his consciousness wasn't, and he lived an entire life growing up with her, we find out. And again, that's pretty crazy to think about. This girl he didn't even think he knew, apparently he had a whole life with, and basically, he kind of had an out-of-body experience and learning to use and control his massive powers. She wants to protect him, but he still doesn't believe her and decides to go back home. And it makes sense, obviously. He wasn't in consciousness. This is something he did while he was out of his body. So he really doesn't think that any of this actually happened. He probably thinks it's just some twisted dream. But Willa returns to her home where she finds the old man from Holden's dreams who appears to be in a coma, but he can somehow telepathically send text messages to her, and she informs him that Holden doesn't remember and they are trying to get to him, but the old man tells her to stay close and protect him. However, Holden may not be the one who needs protecting because that night he has another bad dream as the electronics in his room go haywire. The faces on his bobblehead start to melt off, so we don't know what that's all about, and that is the way the episode ends. Really great premiere overall. Let's just get into this episode and talk about where I think the show is going to go from here. So overall, guys, this premiere really surprised me. I wasn't expecting much from it, to be honest with you. I was expecting this to be a very normal type freeform show where not a lot is, really, everything's presented and we basically just deal with everything and then we just start out the show, because that's how every freeform show usually is. They present all the information in the first episode, and this episode they really did not do that. There are a lot of blanks as to what's really going on, but we also have this other great show where Holden's trying to adjust to adulthood and really catch up to all those years behind him. And both of those shows I find to be very, very interesting. I'm very interested in seeing where both of those shows are really going to go. And it helps that we have a cast here who's actually really great. I think the cast in general I really do love in this show, but let's just talk about the cast and talk about how great the acting really is. Worried about with this show, because while I think Freeform relatively does do a good job with casting people, some of their casting choices lately have been quite questionable. Not that they're bad, it just seems like they cast all the good-looking people and they don't really look at the actors themselves, which this show, they actually really did. Especially with Berkeley Duffield, who I think is perfectly casted as Holden. I mean, he has everything down to a T. This is a performance that requires a lot of pathos and a lot of patience. Patience is definitely a virtue with this character. I mean, this is someone who's very confused. This is someone who doesn't fully understand what's going on with him. He has to acclimate to that time period, and Berkeley Duffield really does a great job with getting into Holden's mind. You can tell throughout the entire show he's very confused. You can tell he's not entirely sure what's going on with him. He's trying to catch up to everyone else, but it's going to take him a while, definitely, and I like the way that that's going down. I like the way that he was confused throughout the show, and there really wasn't any time where it felt off. It felt like he already knows this character. He already is up to the task to play this role of a very confused individual who holds a lot of information, but doesn't really remember any of this information. In general, I'm very interested in seeing what's going on with Holden, if the story that Willa told was true, or if Willa is, completely lying to him, and she's just saying this to try to get close to him, because I really don't know. I think that definitely is going to be very interesting. I can't wait to see really where his character's going to go throughout the entire show. I think out of everyone, he definitely is the best, and that's great because you need a great actor like that, and luckily Freeform's actually taken the time to get a great actor and not just someone who's good looking, because sure, he may be a good looking dude, I'll definitely say that, I definitely will say that, and I'm sure that girls will find him very attractive, because, that's one of the fan bases in Freeform and things like that. But with someone like Holden, he really does have this part down very well. He's very fun. He's very talented, and I definitely could see him. I definitely, you can tell like when he feels guilty, when he feels confused, you feel confused. When he feels happy, you feel happy. And in general, I think he really just have this character down to a T overall. And then Delanne Gwynn as Willa is a relatively very mysterious character right now. We don't really know much of what's going on with her. We just know that she claims that Holden and her had a life in the past. Now, if this is true or not, I'm not entirely sure. But I'm looking forward to seeing where her character's going to go, where their whole journey is going to be, because she is, in fact, in the poster, so I'm assuming we can trust her. I'm not entirely sure, though, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there with Willa, because that's going to be interesting. As well as Luke. I really like Jonathan Whitesell as Luke, Holden's brother, the way that the bond that they have, it's kind of a reverse bond where he's catching him up and trying to teach him things rather than Holden teaching his brother things. I like the way that that's going overall. I like their dynamic. I think it adds a lot of fun to the show, and again, I really am enjoying where that's going. We didn't meet Charlie, we didn't meet Jeff McArdle, but I'm sure we'll meet them as the show goes on. His parents are fine, don't really much to say about them, they're good in the show, but Jordan Calloway as Kevin, I also am very interested in, because again, we know that there's something about don't trust anyone. Well, why can't he trust Kevin? Kevin seems very sincere in what he's doing. Is there some sort of big secret that Kevin's holding from him? We don't really know. I feel like there's definitely more going on with Kevin than we think. And that's something I'm definitely interested in getting into, is what's really going on with Kevin, who is he really, because we honestly don't really know at this point. I think that definitely is going to be very interesting to see where that all goes. But overall, guys, one of the most solid casts that Freeform's had in a long time. I think the cast here is overall very well casted. I really am interested in all of these characters, and I can't wait to see where they're going to go as the show goes on. Now, as far as the directing and the writing go, the directing here is pretty great, honestly. I really did feel the tone throughout the entire episode. It was very mysterious, it was very creative, and it's very different than anything Freeform has done. Like I said, they've done horror shows, but I see the show as more of a supernatural thriller than it is a horror show. There's definitely horror elements in there, but the fact is, Holden has all these powers, and we don't really know what it's all about or how he can do all this. What's the electrical stuff all about, and who is the group that really needs him? Why do they need him? What's going on? How long have they been following Holden? Is Willa's story true? There's so many blanks that I love. I love that there's so many things that we don't know about, and there's so much potential for where the show can go because of that, and I love that. I love that we really don't know where we're going to go from here. If Holden's going to follow Willa, if he's going to try to distance himself from Willa, we honestly don't know if Willa's story's true. I mean, there was a lot to process there. The fact that this girl, he might have lived an entire life with, it's just crazy. If he might have spent the last 12 years with, it's a pretty crazy situation. What's going on with Kevin? Why can't he trust him? There's just so many interesting things and so many places the show can go, and I'm really hoping that they take those creative liberties, because right now, it seems like they are. I just hope that they continue to do that throughout the show. The other thing that I think is going to make this show so much more worthwhile, and I think they made a very smart decision with, is by putting this entire show on Hulu, because this is a show, like I said, that doesn't give you a ton of answers, and watching it week to week, some people may get bored. That's just how it is. There's always that liberty of binging a show, and when you don't have that liberty, some people might actually get bored, and I think this is a very good example of how to not bore people by putting the entire season on Hulu, which I'm probably going to do 1 a week, 2 a week. I'm really not sure. I'm not going to watch it constantly. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not going to watch the show constantly because I have other shows to catch up on. I have other things to do. But I am going to try to do at least 2 episodes a week, not 1 episode a week, 2 episodes a week. And we'll see how that goes. But I really do think that model of them putting the show on is a really good idea. My only thing is, why did you want to put it on Freeform? Now, if you're going to put it on Hulu, just make it an online show. I mean, there's so many networks that do that. ABC has so many shows where they're TV mature and they just put it on their app. NBC does it, Fox does it. Why do you need this show on Freeform? Because they're not really going to gain a lot of audience viewers because they're all just going to watch it on Hulu or Freeform anyway. You know, every single streaming thing you can get Freeform on has this entire season. So there's really no reason, I think, to put the show on Freeform. I get, obviously, why they did that. You can put the first episode on there, but the rest of the show, just binge it, honestly. You don't really need to put the whole show on Freeform. I just don't understand why they're doing that. And by the time that the finale airs, everyone will have already finished the show and will be like, oh yeah, that happened. Like, people will definitely not really care when the finale happens because they'll probably already have watched it. There might be some people who don't have Hulu and things like that, but it's very rare that people want to watch a show week to week. It just doesn't really happen a lot nowadays. So I really feel like that is a very good idea what they did. I just don't really know why they're putting it on Freeform, but we'll have to see. The cinematography in the show is astounding, honestly. For a show like Freeform, this is some really high-class cinematography. I thought that the visual effects were fantastic here. I thought the scenes with the telepathy and all that stuff was just really well done. You could really tell they poured a lot of their budget into the show. It doesn't look cheap. It looks really real, and I really do love the way that was done. It also adds the mysterious aspect of the show because we don't really know what fully is going on there, and I love that. I love that we don't know what's going on with the cinematography. I think that's also very interesting. The score here I thought was pretty great. The editing as well, I really did love. Like I said, I love that they took their time throughout this entire show. It took us about, not till the end of the episode to really figure out, okay, might be what's actually going on. Because we still don't know what's going on, and I love that. I love that by the end of this episode, we don't know what's going on, because Freeform rarely does it. That was the problem with Shadowhunters, that they told us literally everything in the first episode, when they could have really stretched it out. And with 10 episodes, this show is 10 episodes. That show had 13 episodes. This show has less episodes, and for them to do it better than Shadowhunters did, which had 13 episodes, it's pretty crazy to think about, but they really did do it quite well, I have to say, with developing that mystery and just letting it sink in. That's something that Freeform doesn't do a ton. They're not a very patient network, and for them to do a show that requires you to have a lot of patience very much impressed me, because I really wasn't expecting a show like this, and they really did that very well here. My only real complaints with the show is that I felt like they didn't develop some of the characters as well as they could have. His parents are very much just his parents. Kevin, they could have developed a bit more, and I do feel that some of the mystery stuff was a little bit repetitive, things like that. But overall, I don't really have much complaints with the show, I have to say. I think this was a really, really great start. One of the best pilots that Freeform has done in a long time. I definitely really did enjoy it. I thought the mystery was there. I thought the intrigue was there. Just everything really sucked me in a way a pilot should. And I'm definitely going to give the first episode of Beyond a 4 out of 5 or a B+. I really enjoyed this episode overall. I thought they very well let the mystery aspect there. I just very well got into the show. I can't wait to see where we're going to go from here. There's so much potential, and I really hope they deliver in the way that this episode makes them promise to. So far, guys, the series premiere Beyond. Let me know what you guys saw this episode overall. Loved your thoughts on it. How are you going to watch this show? Like I said, I'm probably going to do 2 episodes a week, so definitely look forward to that. I might even review the second episode tonight. I'm not sure. I probably will. I don't know, but my next review will be for the season of Shadowhunters, because it is coming back at 8 o'clock tonight, and I do want to review that to you guys, so I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.